So you know how car prices went through the roof, went absolutely crazy like a year and a half ago, and then everyone ended up buying houses for 30% over the sticker price. I mean, literally the dealerships were selling them for highest bidder type of situation. Look, it's all about supply and demand, but let's talk about how this is impacting not only the people that did this, but also their real estate portfolio. What is it that they can do once you're in this kind of troubled situation? What is it that you should avoid so that you don't get into this situation ever? And then we're going to talk about the general car market, what to expect in the near future if you do need a car, and who's actually winning in this game, because it's definitely not the people. Okay, out of all the millennials out there, over 35% of them have car payments that are over 20% of their take-home pay. 20% of your take-home pay just for your car payment is probably one of the dumbest things I've ever heard people do. Why the hell would you make this decision, millennials? It's mostly one of those look rich instead of get rich scenarios. You're just trying to look good and you're making some stupid ass decisions. Now combine that with average insurance being over $2,500 in the US for a car, your payment is going to be absolutely ridiculous. But thankfully prices have come down for cars. Not dramatically, nothing crazy. It's not like 50% off or anything like that. They're definitely not selling for over asking price, the MSRP. But there are so many people that got into a bad situation and they have to get out of that situation. Sometimes it's just taking over a lease that's a really good deal. But the bad situation didn't seem so bad when you're getting a 0% or a 1% interest rate. Right now, you're literally over 10% if you go get a car loan. Really, depending on your credit, some places are like 15. So it's really a bad idea to go get this type of loan. So let's go into how this is going to affect your home buying decision. It's actually a giant influence on whether or not you can get approved for a house loan. Now really, I'm going to break it down to be the super simple way to understand it. It works like this. However much your payments are outside of your housing is how much less you can afford in housing. So if you have a $1,000 monthly payment on your car, then you can afford $1,000 less of house. Not the purchase price, the monthly payment, which is over $100,000 worth of house. Do the math using a mortgage calculator. Right now, interest rates are about 7.5%. So just do the math. How much can you afford extra if your payment goes up $1,000? Now, if you have credit card debt, it's the same damn thing. Every single dollar that you spend on a credit card payment is $1 less that you can afford in housing. So if you're thinking about buying a house, first things first, you have to get rid of every single payment you have. Well, you don't have to, but I highly recommend it. You should really get rid of every single debt. The only exception I would say to that is maybe medical debt that might have a really low monthly payment, or student debt, which might have some sort of deferred plan or really low interest rate. But when it comes to your car payment, the way I like to see it is like this. Take your total net worth, okay? Whatever it is. Maybe you don't own a house yet. Maybe your total net worth is just, $5,000 that you have in the bank. If your total net worth is anything less than $50,000, then I would say keep your car value at right around $5,000, as much as 10% of your total net worth. Now, most people are not going to agree on this, and I don't really give a damn, okay? Because I'm trying to teach you guys how to make money in real estate, because that's what I love doing, okay? I love finding opportunities, wedge deals, and you have to be in a position to buy them, and you can't be going out and buying huge cars with giant payments and then complain when you can't go get a loan, okay? So if your net worth is under $50,000, then just buy a $5,000 car. That's it. The other $45,000 should be invested into things that pay you. For example, it could be a house, right? Maybe a rental or something like that, not your primary residence. Or you should put it into maybe dividend stocks, or even a high yield savings account is not a bad option. And that would be like a 5% yield. Now, if your net worth is up to 100,000, then make it up to 10% of your net worth. That's the value of your car, not your total loan amount. That's like the grand total value, the high number, okay? Anything over 100,000, just make it 10%. No more than 10%. So if your, net worth is $1 million, your car should be, no more than $100,000. And I even think that's a silly idea too, because the more you go, that doesn't mean it should be the more you spend on a vehicle, which is a depreciating asset that doesn't pay you. Now, I'm a big subscriber to the Robert Kiyosaki train of thought, which is instead of buying liabilities, buy assets. How does he define liabilities? Easy. A liability is something that you pay for. And how does he define assets? An asset is something that pays you. So in his definition, your primary residence is not an asset because it doesn't pay you. You have to still keep paying for it. And by the way, I forgot to mention, I'm at Nora Patterson Park in Sarasota, just on the Siesta Key side of the North Siesta Key Bridge off of Siesta Drive. And my name is Maciek Zaremba. I'm a real estate agent in Sarasota. If you're thinking about investing or buying any real estate, hey, reach out to me. My contact is in the description. Let's get back to this here. So now that we have it pretty clear on how much your car should be worth, let's talk about payments. Because if you're going to be buying real estate, you have to get rid of the payments. Well, you don't have to, but I highly recommend you do. Even if you're making $150,000 a year and you have some great IT job that work from home or something like that, no problem. It's just, are you trying to get rich or trying to look rich? That's the question you should ask yourself. You want to get rich or you want to look rich? That's the question. I'm on the path of trying to get rich, okay? And my definition of rich is different than your definition of rich. But until I reach my goal, I'm gonna be diligent about my money and I'm gonna be investing it into things that pay me. So if you're thinking about getting a car, do everything you can to buy something that does not have a payment at all. And if it does have a payment, make it like a $3,000 total balance that you're borrowing. Like put down $10,000 and finance $3,000, If you can't even afford to put $10,000 down, then get something for $5,000, one of those buy here, pay here, and just pay it off within, 6, 7, 8 months, working side jobs or weekend jobs or something, because it greatly affects you being able to buy a house. And this is what this channel is talking about, right? Is what do you have to do to be able to buy a house? And if you have any kind of obligations, for example, if you have any kind of credit card debt, if you have any kind of student loan debt, if you have anything at all that shows up on your credit report, it's going to be hurting you when it comes to applying and getting approved for a mortgage. I'm not saying don't buy a house until you've paid everything off, okay? I definitely think there are smart ways to do this, but you have to have a plan. And at the end of everything, once you have purchased a home, or once you're number crunching the home, the car, all the payments that you owe on your credit report, the bottom line is you should hopefully be at about 35% of your take home. So if you take home $10,000 a month, that's in your pocket, right? Then all your expenses should be about $3,500. And I know it's like, where am I living? What year am I living in? I know it's difficult, okay? That's why you got to work hard, hustle, and not have any debt, not have a credit card debt, not have car payments, not have student loan debt. Just go and do what you can to eliminate all the expenses every single month. Because in order to get rich, you have to live poor. I mean, that's kind of how it starts off, at least. At the very least, if you come from just a middle class or a poor family, that's kind of where you got to go. And if you are making like $100,000 a year and you just find you can't make ends meet, I highly suggest you join some sort of mastermind group where you can go and have an accountability partner, someone to talk to when you're budgeting, so that every week you can check in on someone and someone else can check in with you. You got to be transparent. You got to show them what exactly you're doing to save money, what you're doing to pay off debt. But if you have a bunch of credit card debt, just go into the snowball method. I just Google that. It's a very popular method of paying off debt, and every payment snowballs into the next one. Next thing you know, you don't have any debt, okay? Sure, it'll take some time depending on what your situation is. What's really sad is that about 69 to 80% of all Gen Z and millennials had to cut back on their regular spending because of their car payments. And I think that has to do a lot about not the car they bought, not the situation, but really it's like a psychological thing of buying things you can't afford. See, you can go and shop for cars and be, enamored with some beautiful car that you just love, right? And then they're going to get you in there. They're going to lend you the money at whatever percent, and they're going to be like, oh, the payment's only like $400. Yeah, for like 10 years, okay? The car's going to break down before then. So the lending guidelines for autos are much lower than for houses. So, you got to get out there and you're going to go and see a beautiful car, and then people make emotional decisions on car lots. That happens a lot less when it comes to residential rentals or single family homes just for yourself. Real estate in general, you have to get pre-approved, and the guidelines are pretty strict, okay? So because of the guidelines being so much looser than the residential real estate, people make emotional decisions, and then they're stuck with that decision for 2, 3, 4, 8 years sometimes. This message really is a lot for the young folks, the people who kind of feel like, I have to have a car. You don't have to have a car. And if you do get a car, there's no need to go about it with the maximum amount that they qualify you for. Because when you go to a dealership, what they ask about is what kind of payment do you want. But you should be led by the price, not the payment. Once you've negotiated the price, then you can go in and you can go and shop the rates with other banks. And I recommend you just use a credit union, a local credit union, to shop the rate, for your loan payment. If you even go for a loan, I'm highly recommending you do not go for a loan, okay? Try to avoid going for a loan. So, it's no wonder that all these Gen Z and millennials are kind of saying, hey, we're never going to be able to buy a house. Well, not with the kind of decisions you're making. You're definitely not going to be able to buy a house when you're making stupid ass decisions to buy cars that are $45,000. I'm 45 years old. I own over a dozen properties. I've still never owned a car that's worth anywhere near $45,000. Aside from a mistake when I was 21, where I got a car payment for about 9 months, I have my first car payment right now, literally since the first car loan I've had when I was 21. I have had a car that's been paid for that entire time. I highly recommend you do it that way too, because it's allowed me to go and qualify for loans. And it's allowed me to go and negotiate with people when I'm buying, owner financed property, because those people are basically standing in as the bank, right? And how difficult is it to explain to them, oh yeah, I can make the payment, no problem. I also have $1,000 car payment. You're an idiot. I wouldn't lend to you if I was trying to owner finance somebody and you had a stupid $1,000 car payment. That shows me that you're fiscally irresponsible. You want to be fiscally responsible, which means sacrifice, which means that you're not going to be driving the cars and not living in the house that you grew up in if you were like upper middle class. You're going to start with kind of the bottom, I guess. I mean, I lived in a very impoverished area on one of my houses for 7 years. Literally, I was, the only white guy there. That's fine. I didn't really have too many problems over there, but I decided to buy a house cash. And I was able to buy it for $16,000 because it was basically being sold for lot value. But are you willing to do that? To make money? To get rich? I have a goal, and that's what I'm pursuing. Are you willing to do it? So when it comes to housing, look, you want to be in a safe neighborhood, but when it comes to cars, you don't need to have a freaking giant SUV or a pickup truck or an Escalade or something stupid. Just be smart about it. Try to pay off your car. You want a cheap car? Get a Hyundai Santa Fe. Get some sort of Kia, get some sort of Mazda. Get something that's 10 to 15 years old that has, under 100,000 miles. They're around. You just have to keep looking and shopping for it. And if you're in a situation right now where you have some vehicle that is just, way too expensive for you, look, take the hit, okay? Cut your losses. Tell them that you cannot pay it. Go sell it at break even. Do what you can. Maybe you can't get out of it. And I get that too. There are situations sometimes that are, you can't fix them. But if you can fix it, even if you lose like $1,000, you bring $1,000 to pay off the rest of the loan in order to sell the car, do it. Just get out of that and start building. Because if you have a $650 car payment right now, and you're going to have to bring $1,000 to the table just to get rid of the car. So you're going to have no car, but you're also not going to have a $600 car payment. Do that, and then buy yourself a $5,000 car. Make that payment go from $600 down to $150. Finance it over 72 months, but make the additional payments of $600 every single month. You'll have it done in 8 months? You'll have the car totally paid off in 8 months. And then after that, you can start saving money for your down payment. Or maybe you have some debt that you can start paying off and get that entire total monthly obligations, which means your credit card debt, student loan debt, car debt, medical debt, whatever debt you have, whatever debt you're carrying, you can start paying that down and paying it off. And you're saying, I can't seem to get out of it. You're making $100,000 a year and you can't seem to get out of the problem. Well, that's because you're not disciplined. So get disciplined, find a partnership, an accountability partner, get with your spouse, get with your girlfriend, stop eating out. This is kind of becoming a conversation about money management. But cars are one of the biggest problems that people decide on that causes a lot of pain for their opportunity of buying a house, where they don't have an opportunity to buy a house. Car payments are the #1 culprit.